Good for you. It's definitely different on the road. It's everything's it's easier. And you catch up on sleep on the road. Yeah. Right. The whole thing. Courtney, I might need a pronunciation depending on who you got. I don't have. They're the only ones I don't have for some reason. The media guy.
Same.
Oh, okay. They don't have phonetics?
I don't have any phonetics for them.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Where would those be? Yeah, I was gonna say because all those papers over there. I feel like some paper has to have the next on it. Yeah, I mean, you need them. Huh? Maybe they went by like 15 or something. I told you it was more games. It was like the crowd, like it was fun because Marshall was like in the whole time, like their
You
fans.
guys are switching off.
Yeah.
You got the action.
You know? Ugh.
We'll switch like afterwards. You want to switch after the game or after?
You can switch after this one. I don't care. Whatever you want.
Hello?
You're crazy.
I didn't know it was on.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. The other thing, when you talk, it's all live now. So just make sure
Yes.
your mic's on.
Thanks, Steve.
Look like we part of a courtroom. Like how the courtroom people have like
You got those phones silenced this time.
Of course, they just gave me Murray State.
The ones that we know.
But those are the next one.
Yep.
And Stark is that what we're on? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, perfect. So those are good. But those are Lansing.
So they're after this one.
Yeah.
Of course, they want to give you that first,
I
right?
know. It's okay though.
Did they give you players? Yeah.
I only got him from Murray State, but
Sure.
he'll be coached in his first 2 nights.
got two. Carter, well, you want Alan first? Okay. Okay. Hey, no problem.
It's weird, but
Remember to silence your cell phones. Flash photography is prohibited. Make sure you announce your name and media affiliation when asking questions, and we'll limit to one follow-up. Raise your hands for questions, and we'll get a microphone to you. All right, we have from West Virginia, head coach Bob Huggins, and the student athletes are Teddy Allen and Javon Carter. We will begin with the student athletes. So we'll take any questions for the student athletes at this time. Any questions for the student athletes?
Tim Booth from the Associated Press. Javon, you obviously had a good offensive game, but how important was the defensive effort you had against Jonathan Stark and being able to keep him from getting his shot going?
It wasn't just me. We got a lot of different guys that can guard. Our main focus was to stop him, make other guys beat us, and we just did an unbelievable job of team defense.
Teddy, Ed Marlowe, the Paducah Sun. Post play, how much did you guys talk about working inside to the paint to attack Murray State's forwards in their front court?
Yeah, we knew that the way they switched or the way they guard screens, that one of the two people setting the screen down there would be open, so we just tried to exploit that.
Any other questions for the student athletes?
Aaron Torres with The Athletic for Javon. You know, you've been in West Virginia here now for quite a few years. What do you think the atmosphere within the state will be like back home for such a big game with Marshall next on Sunday?
They're going to be ready. They're going to be ready to see a battle. Two very good teams going up to play against each other, in-state rivalry. And we'll see what happens.
For both of you guys, I think you guys had 6+1s where you got 3 points out of the play. You guys were both instrumental in that. How big were those plays? And, I mean, you always want to get those opportunities, but to make the baskets when you need to and getting the +1, how big is that?
Just being aggressive. Our coaches always tell us keep our head on the rim when we're going up. When you get contact, shoot it a little harder. And when you get it in, those and-ones, it stop momentum. You know, other teams put their head down, they start arguing amongst each other. It's just big for momentum change.
Yeah, like JC said, just coach always telling us keep our head on the rim, and when you get fouled and you have an opportunity to make it, those are buckets you got to convert because those make a big difference.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. And now we'll continue with Coach Huggins. Any questions for Coach Huggins?
Abraham Jewett, Daily Aztec. How are you able to keep your team so focused? Like Javon and Teddy were saying, you never let Murray State get within striking distance really in the second half. You kept the pedal to the metal.
But I think we were either playing too fast or we weren't real focused early because we missed how many shots around the rim. We just couldn't get any to go in, and could have been we're playing faster and we're capable of playing, or didn't have our head on the rim. But these guys, you know, led by Carter and Miles, they like to play. And we've made a conscious effort of trying to find guys that like to play. So much easier to coach, so much easier to have in practice. You don't have to fight with them all the time about playing hard. So I guess it's about 4 years ago, we just made a very conscious effort that we're not going to recruit guys that we have to beg to play. And so I think that's a big part of it.
Bob Todd Leonard from the Union Tribune in San Diego. Carter had a pretty good stretch there early in the second half where he had a basket, he had a steal. Is that the kind of play you would expect from him at this stage in his career and in the tournament?
Yeah, I walking in, I got the questions of, you know, how proud are you of him for the job that he did? And I'm like, you know, I'd be shocked if he didn't play that way. He plays that way all the time. He plays that way in open gym. But he's always done that. I mean, that's not something that he acquired here. He's always done it. He did it when he was in high school. So it's kind of expected, you know.
Coach, Ed Marlowe, the Paducah Sun. The Racers, you've coached in this conference before, in the Ohio Valley Conference, and I don't necessarily know if they were ready for you guys and your physicality. How do you guys practice that, simulate it, build it? How do you guys create the pressure that you guys do?
Well, we work hard on the pressure, but the physicality part of it, I don't think we do. We used to, but we don't anymore. Now the rules won't let you be physical, so we've really tried to back it off.
Kyle Waniger at ESPN.com. It's been a few years since you guys played Marshall. I was wondering if you could share why that series stopped being played and if you anticipated it at some point resuming during the regular season in the future.
I don't really want to get into the reasons. And they can come to Morgantown anytime they want and play. We'd love for them to.
So you guys would only be open to it resuming if they played a home game for you guys?
See, I don't want to get into all that. So you're trying to get like all this, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to bite on what you're trying to do.
Any other questions for Coach Huggins?
Over here, Mitch.
Hold on.
Talking to the mic.
Got a question here first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I saw him waving over there. I didn't try to do your job.
I'm just trying to do it for a minute. But we will defer, and you can ask
thank
the
you.
next question.
Thank you. Just wondering the status of D'Angelo. Notice he wasn't out there today.
You have to give your name and affiliation.
Mitch Vingle, Charleston Gazette-Mail.
He's not here.
Is he going to be with the team in the future? Or?
He's not here.
Okay.
Coach Todd Leonard, Union Tribune.
Hey, Todd.
Carter's play on Stark in particular, can you speak to that? And I mean, you really held him. And then Miller obviously had a great game for them. What kind of athlete was he? Kind of seeing him up close.
Well, Miller, we kept telling our guys for whatever it's been, 3 or 4 days, that he can shoot, and that's what he does. And he's a 40% three-point shooter. And for some reason, they didn't believe us. And he had a great game. Shot the ball extremely well, rebounded the ball extremely well. 17 rebounds. JC's deal is this: we see it all the time. You know, he doesn't practice. I'll tell you real quick. The reason I recruited him is it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm at Disney, you know, for the AAU stuff, and I got a cup of coffee. It's early. And I got to walk all the way to the back gym, And I sit down and drink my coffee, and there's a guy out there pressing. Now, you know, most of the kids don't want to be there. They just want to get it over with. He's out there pressing full court and did the whole game. And I called my assistants and said, this is our guy right here. This is who we need. And I really didn't care if he could shoot or dribble. You know, he just played so hard. And obviously he can do both of those. Dude, he works. You know, he's a guy who on game day will put in an hour and a half shooting the ball, getting ready for the game. Now, obviously can't do it here, but when we're at home, he puts in he's there an hour and a half before, and does it every game.
Can you speak to his progress as an offensive player, what you've seen through the years with that?
He's become a much better shooter. He's become a much better ball handler. He's become a much better decision maker, but he wants to. You know, he's a guy who will come in and study film, see where he could have got other guys the ball for an easier shot and didn't do it. You know, he's a basketball junkie.
In the back.
Coach, Nick Farrell, WV Illustrated, 23 points from your bench today. How important, how valuable was Teddy's play?
Well, I told him before the game, we're 7-0 in the Big 12 when we have 4 guys in double figures. We had 4 guys in double figures today. So that's important for us. It's important that we spread it around.
Aaron Torres with The Athletic. I know you didn't want to talk about kind of the politics involved with West Virginia Marshall, but what do you think for the people of the state, for the fans of both fan bases, this game will mean for the people?
It'll be fun. They'll enjoy it. They should enjoy it.
Any other questions for Coach Huggins? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I say one other thing for you guys that like. I've got great respect for Danny and what he's done. I mean, he took over. They were down, and I've got great respect for him as a coach. Mark Klein, I've known since he was in high school. I've known Scott Rougeau forever and ever and ever. So I mean, this is not a Hatfields and McCoy thing. You know, I mean, we have great relationships with both staffs. That you have to understand that they are almost 4 hours from us. So it's not like we're next door. You know, I was at Cincinnati for all those years in Cincinnati Xavier. I mean, we were a mile and a half from Xavier's campus. We're 4 hours away. I'm not sure what the mileage is, but you know, but you follow them and you see what they're doing, and I think they've done a terrific job.
Thank you, Coach. Our reminder, silence your cell phones. Flash photography is prohibited. Make sure you announce your name and media affiliation when asking questions. We're limiting to 1 follow-up. And raise your hand when you have a question, and we'll get a microphone to you. For Murray State, we have head coach Matt McMahon. The student athletes are Terrell Miller Jr. and Jonathan Stark. begin with an opening statement from Coach McMahon.
I would just say credit to West Virginia. They got an excellent team. They were everything we thought they would be, and wish them the best moving forward. But I'm really proud of our team. It's been a special year for us. These two seniors up here with me, Terrell Miller and Jonathan Stark, can't say enough good things about them and what they've done for Murray State University and our community in Murray, Kentucky. And our team has been an absolute blast to coach. It's been one of the great privileges for me to be a part of this special group. So I'm very thankful for that opportunity.
Questions now for the student athletes.
Ed Marlowe, Paducah-san. Terrell, can you just talk a little bit about your offensive game today and maybe your game plan coming into this matchup against West Virginia and how you were able to execute it so efficiently?
Thanks to my teammates, they did a good job giving me the ball, and they got me the ball in spots where they knew I can hit shots, and our guards did a great job of finding me on time and giving me the rhythm threes that I know I can knock down, and we just work on that all year, and it showed tonight.
Hold on. In the back.
Tim Booth from the Associated Press. Jonathan, it was obviously a tough day for you. How challenging was their defense, and what maybe specifically were they doing to keep you off your game offensively?
They're a solid defensive team, but I got a lot of wide open looks. I just didn't knock the shots down. But credit to them, they did a great job of contesting some of my shots. I just got to do a better job making shots.
Blake Sandlin, Murray State News. Jonathan Terrell, obviously this whole week you've been scouting this West Virginia defense. Did you expect them to be as physical as they were today?
They was probably a little bit physical as we thought. They was real physical at the beginning of the game, but as the game started flowing, it's just regular basketball game. They just pressed us, and we just had to finish plays at the end. But they're a tough team. Credit to them on the defensive end. They got guys that come off the bench and come in and still play hard. They got a nice team, and their defense is really good.
Abraham Jewett, the Daily Aztec. Talk about, you guys hung around for most of the game. You actually were pretty close to making it within double digits for the majority of the second half until the end. What kind of changed after they kind of pulled away, and then what do you think kept you guys from being able to kind of get over the hump there at the end?
Just felt like rebounds. We gave them a lot of second chance shots, and they were just being a little bit more physical towards the end of the game, and that's what changed the game towards the end of the game.
Any other questions for our student athletes? Okay, thank you. And we will continue with Coach McMahon. Any questions for him?
Tim Booth for the AP. Matt, you talked yesterday about how tough it is to simulate what they do. Now that you saw it up close, how tough of a defense is that to face?
Oh, it's everything we expected. I mean, they're a really good basketball team. I guess Virginia's been the most dominant team in the country this year throughout, and West Virginia beat that team. I think it just takes a cumulative effect on you. We weren't horrible against the press. I thought, and we talked about that all week. I thought we'd be able to attack the press, but their half-court defense is just so good. You can sit around and try and run different offenses. It's not happening. You have to be able to make plays, and when you draw help and kick, you have to knock down open shots. And we just didn't make enough of them this afternoon.
Any other questions for Coach McMahon?
Coach, Ed Marlowe, Paducah-san. Maybe can you just talk a little bit more about your two seniors and what they were able to give you over these last few weeks, especially in this big run? 13 straight wins. Unfortunately, comes to an end here at West Virginia.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a hard conversation to have. And I told him that in the locker room after the game. When when you don't necessarily love your team, that conversation's real easy. You know, you tell them to turn their uniform in and call it a year. But when you love your team and you have a special team and you have special young men as a part of your team, it's tough because you never prepare your remarks. You never expect to lose. So it's emotional in there because those two guys, you know, all you hear on TV is about all the crooks and the cheating and stuff in college basketball right now. Those two guys are what college basketball is all about. Jonathan Stark's what college basketball is all about. Credit to Javon Carter for West Virginia. That's what college basketball is all about. So I'm just so proud of Terrell and Jonathan for what they've been able to do to basically start our program over from scratch and to rebuild our roster in short order. And it's because of those two guys, the work they've put in. They've built the foundation of what our program not only has been this year, but what it will be moving forward. They've built the culture in the locker room of what our program's all about. And for me, you know, it's one of the great Murray State teams. And they're two of the best players ever to put on that jersey at Murray State. So I'm extremely proud of them and very thankful for the opportunity to get to coach them because they've been terrific. They've been terrific.
Any other questions for Coach? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.